So thank you, Pastor, and Liz. It turns out that Liz has relatives in Lancaster, an uncle and aunt who are very good friends of mine. So we have actually met before, and I didn't realize that. You had to remind me. But I really appreciate your allowing us to be here today, and thank you for everything that you've done. And of course, Commissioner Pipe, thank you for being here too. I really appreciate your being here. And you pointed this out, but I want to thank you for making this a voting place. We as a democracy depend on people voting, and that's what I want to talk about here, but it starts with having a place to be able to vote. And for a long time, you've been allowing people to come here in a safe place and vote. Yesterday, during a celebration of Women's Equality Day, I was reminded of the hard work and sacrifice that so many people have made in our history to expand voting rights. First, African Americans, I think as of February, it was 150 years, the anniversary of the 15th Amendment. And then 100 years ago, the 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote. It was a battle in both cases that remains to be completed, I think. We're still making progress. And as I said yesterday, we have a lot of work to do. These constitutional amendments prevented discrimination against people based on the color of their skin or their gender. Those were much needed additions to the Constitution. But we still have problems. We still have challenges in terms of making that access available to everybody. We still have too many Pennsylvanians who feel and who do face hurdles when it comes to voting. Last year, our General Assembly came together, again, in a bipartisan way, Republicans and Democrats, to pass legislation, the first reform in our voting system in 80 years, 80 years in Pennsylvania, that greatly expanded voting access by permitting mail-in ballots. It was no excuse absentee ballots. And it also allowed for early voting. Pennsylvanians now have 50 days to vote. We have the longest number of days to vote of any state in the country. When we passed this legislation, we didn't see that COVID-19 was right on the horizon, but it certainly turned out to be a really good timing for this because it not only created better access to the vote, to the ballot box, but it also created a safer way to vote. And so it wasn't an accident, I don't think, that a record number of people signed up to vote by mail, over 1.5 million people. That's in addition to the 200,000 or so who signed up to vote the traditional absentee ballot. And I think we were successful in our primary election, and it showed that we were right to have confidence in our voting system. But I think there's some changes that still need to be made that could make a good system even better. And that's what I want to talk about today. And there are four things I want to talk about. The first thing is our legislature needs to pass, without delay, legislation to allow election officials to begin processing submitted mail-in ballots 21 days before the election. Doing steps like scanning in, opening on, by the way, this is something that a bipartisan group of county commissioners has already written to the General Assembly to ask for, and I agree with this. Doing steps like scanning in, opening envelopes in advance, not disclosing the vote or even counting until the polls are closed, so that this is not something that says you can give the results beforehand, but it will allow them to actually start the processing of these ballots early, and the hope would be that we get results faster. Second, we also need to address recent delays with the United States Postal Service by requiring counties to start sending mail-in ballots to voters at least 28 days before the election. Right now, they don't have to send ballots out, or maybe they're not allowed to, before 14 days before the vote. Third, we need to allow ballots to be counted as long as they're postmarked on Election Day and received by the Friday after the election, so that in case somebody applies and because of whatever reason the mail is slow, it doesn't get in time. If it's postmarked before the election day or on election day and it gets there by the Friday after, I think we should allow that to count. And finally, we need to protect the health and safety of our poll workers while ensuring that we have enough staffing. The legislature can do this by providing counties flexibility to fill vacant poll worker positions. Right now, they can't fill those positions until 5 days, I think, before the vote. That puts a lot of pressure. In fact, if you know today that you have a vacancy in this precinct and you can't do anything to fill it until 5 days before the election, that gives you precious little time. And that's something that I think is really important. If we do these things, we're going to make our election systems more reliable and even more secure. They'll improve the safety and the speed and making the election day experience better for poll workers and voters both. Right now, it's the time to register to vote. It's the time to update your polling location and is the time to sign up for a mail-in ballot. My wife and I vote by mail, and it's very easy. You can take all three of these actions, and this is an advertisement for the Department of State, votespa.com. Nearly 1.5 million people, as I said, in Pennsylvania elected to vote by mail in the primary election on June 2nd. And I think we all think there's going to be a lot more signing up for vote by mail in the general election. Again, in June 2nd, that's actually half the number of people who actually voted total in that election. These Pennsylvanians received a ballot in the mail, like I did. We filled it out, and wherever and whenever it was convenient for us, I did it in the kitchen at my home, and then returned it either by dropping it in the mail or taking it to the election office or depositing it in a special ballot drop box. I put it in the mail. This is an easy process, and we've been implementing this for decades through absentee ballots. Actually, since the Civil War, we've had absentee balloting in Pennsylvania. It's allowed our Americans who are serving in the military to vote. It's given sick or disabled Pennsylvanians the opportunity to have their voice heard, and it's even used by elected officials. I use it, my wife uses it, the President of the United States uses it. And we've never had any significant suspicion or instances of fraud. Any Pennsylvania, at this point, any Pennsylvania voter can now take advantage of voting by mail, no excuse needed. Use the absentee process that we've had in place again since the Civil War. The process is free for Pennsylvanians because the Department of State is now doing prepaid postage. So you don't even have to buy a stamp to get your ballot back. We will still offer in-person polling from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day, and all 67 counties will be using new, safe, and secure voting machines. The Commonwealth made $90 million available to counties to make sure that we have a paper trail and that we have new, safe, and secure voting machines. So if you choose to vote in person, you can do that too. We've also provided counties with $13 million to help purchase personal protective equipment for poll workers and voters at all locations, and to get new equipment to improve security and administration of the elections. But I encourage Pennsylvanians to avoid crowded polling places in November, to do what I did and what the President's doing, and that is vote by mail. And I ask anyone choosing to vote by mail, vote from home, please apply early and return your ballot as soon as possible to help our poll workers. Visit votespa.com to register to vote or apply to receive a mail-in ballot. So thank you very much.